Yo guys, what is up? It's Teach here, coming at you again with another video over on Ark Survival Ascended, and I wanted to show you a quick video that is an updated version on how to triple your FPS over in the game. Now, the biggest thing that you can realize inside of Ark is that it's a very intensive game, and it's not something that's your computer's fault. Let's go ahead and do stat FPS, or we'll just do it the old way, FPS, and then start tracking. Just so you can see, this is on epic settings, right? So I have a 3090 Ti. I have you can see a frame generation rate right now of right around 40-ish FPS. Now, this is nothing changed, no settings are put in, and that is what it looks like, and it holds right around 40. So I'm going to show you whether or not you're on epic settings or any settings, how to triple this number without much of a problem. And I'm going to do it real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. So boom, right off the bat, we are sitting at 100 FPS and just that list of commands. Notice how everything runs flawlessly. There's no smooth. It's not quite as pretty as it was, but even on epic settings, I'm getting 100 FPS. So if I was to lower it down to the low settings, I'm looking at probably 200 FPS with the 3090 Ti, if not more, kind of depending on what I want to do. So what commands did I just put in? Because obviously I just put in a bunch. So let's go ahead and show you, right? So you can see there's a big list right here, and I'm going to go through each one of them just so you can see, and this is exactly how you would type it. Just this whole command, I'll put it in the comments below so you can actually copy and paste it. But this thing you can just literally keep on like a notepad on your PC, copy and paste it, and then as soon as you start Ark, you can just do this whole command and you're good to go. So r.fog.0 in combination with r.volumetric fog 0, this is basically going to take any fog that exists inside of your visibility zone inside of Ark and take it to 0. Which is huge because you want to think of it like the fog of war just basically gets gotten rid of. Now, the next thing that you're going to want to keep an eye on is the actual volumetric cloud. Now, volumetric cloud essentially takes the clouds that are in the sky and completely gets rid of them. That's r.volumetric cloud 0. And don't forget, I'm putting these in the comments below for those who are like, can you just type them out for me, blah, blah. Yes, I will. They're literally in the comments below. The whole command, so you can just copy and paste it. Now, the next command is going to be grass size scale 0. Grass size scale 0 essentially takes the grass and makes it so it doesn't exist inside of Ark, which is grass isn't something you can collect anyways. It's just a pretty thing. Eye candy is commonly what it's called. And it just takes the eye candy and completely gets rid of it. So grass size scale 0 is huge for that purpose. Now, the reason that I'm telling you one by one is some people want to keep some of the pretty parts of this game. And if you want to kind of go in and run individual commands instead of doing the larger one to figure out what works the best for you, that's what I would probably do. And yeah, that's kind of why I'm going through and describing to you exactly what's going on. So that's grass size scale 0. Next one is r.water single layer.reflection 0. The reason you do this is it essentially makes so the reflections of the water don't exist anymore, and it just gets a pretty blue color instead, because it's very intense on your graphics to have to take all those reflections that the water is actually showing. Now, next one is r.shadow quality 0. This is essentially going to take it so shadows do not exist, and if they do exist, it's very it's non-procedurally generated. It's already in the game, meant to look that way. So that's why we have r.shadow quality 0. Now, the next one is very similar, r.shadow.virtual.enable 0. And the reason we're putting this one is the virtual shadows are essentially being gotten rid of. So with these two commands, shadows don't exist anymore, making it so you can see better in PvP. Now, the next one we're going to run is r.nanite.max pixels per edge 4. And this essentially takes, wow, this Carbonemus just picked me up. How cool. r.nanite.max pixels per edge 4. This essentially, without making it, going into super depth about it, it kind of lowers down the prettiness of your game and makes things less like puffy, and it drops it so it's easier for your graphics card to process. Now, the next one is arc.convert ground clutter 0, and essentially what you're doing is all those rocks that kind of like hover all over the place, you can get rid of that by just typing that command. So that's a huge one that I really enjoy doing because there's no point to them. Now, next is R.Dynamic Global Illumination Method 0, essentially taking the different types of illumination inside of Ark and making it not exist, which is a huge command, will make a big impact on your FPS. In combination, because this is also going to make your game very bright as soon as you type this command, I always run Gamma 2 because it drops the gamma of the game, making it a little bit darker and easier to actually see. Now, in combination with that, what I'll do is r.lumen.diffuse.indirect.allow 0. Wow, that's a big one. Basically, it gets rid of lights bouncing off things, if you want to think of it that way. So that's kind of just how it works. And then the same concept for this next one is r.lightshaftQuality 0. Now, essentially all you're doing is if you do not have light shafts turned on, it's going to turn them off in game for you, so you don't have to worry about that into your individual settings. But notice how the game itself, it doesn't look super pretty, but it runs still very smoothly. I can still get the interactions. I can still do all the generic things. My favorite part of this is rocks do not exist and just start floating in the air. It's how you get rid of the floating rocks, and that's like my favorite thing in the world, because I hate the floating rocks. I don't know why it's a thing. I mean, I get why it's a thing. I just think it's stupid. So I get rid of those pretty quickly, and it makes it look like this, which makes the game run so much smoother, and it so much better. Obviously, I am moving around at like Mach, whatever you want to call it, infinite speeds, and I'm still, even though I'm like rendering as I'm going, getting like 60 to 70 FPS with 0 frame drop, which is huge. So inside of this game especially, even in a massive area where I'm rendering in an entire zone, I'm getting 80, and this is on epic settings, so I can easily drop this down to low and I'll get like well above 150 to 200 FPS. So this is just a quick video, especially for people with lower end graphics cards, how to actually increase your FPS in the game, or if you're playing PvP to give yourself a little bit of an advantage. So make sure you check it out, and if you don't mind, smack that like button, leave a comment below, and then consider subbing to the channel. All right, anyways, hopefully this video helps you out. Teach out.